this will give me the skill set and tools I need to put me on that next level. Like, how am I going to maximize learning about this tool, this software, about this process, this framework? Because those are the things that will help you get the job. Those are things you're going to need to speak to in the interview to help you get this job, right? I've seen a couple of people like really not understand the value in an internship program. And I've seen Josh have to tweak it to adjust to the fact that people are like not fully utilizing it properly.
Hi everyone, my name is Sija. I help run the sub range and support our members. As our community has been growing, we have been putting more focus on highlighting our members' success stories. Josh used to host these conversations, and now I'll be taking the lead so we can bring you even more of their inspiring journeys. So today we have Carlton here, who is a member in Cyber Range, and he recently landed a role as Cybersecurity SOC 1. And he's agreed to come on and share his journey. So thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Happy to be here. Happy to speak with you.
So before we jump in, will you mind give us a little bit introduction for yourself and what do you do before this role? And if it's only comfortable with you, like, will you mind sharing your salary range for your new role position?
Yeah. So what I did before I used to work in operations. I was a warehouse supervisor, and then basically I realized I didn't like that role anymore and I wanted to make a switch. So I just did some research and found cybersecurity and was really interested in it. There's a whole like backstory of how that actually happened, but I won't get too much into it. And yeah, so I decided to switch to cyber. I went to WGU to get my degree, got a bunch of certs. Then I found Josh and his courses and Cyber Range. And I just kind of followed the path that he laid out. And I was able to land my role earlier this year in June. And yeah, and then for my role, it's entry level, so it's just under 100K.
Okay, congratulations on that again. And also, I went to WGU and I really enjoyed their hands-on project, everything. So yeah,
it was great.
Yep. And you mentioned that you applied for this company like five times, and then the first 4 times, like instantly you get rejected. What motivates you to like even try the the 5th attempt? And is there anything you change in your resume or anything that, like help you finally break through?
Yeah, so why I applied the 5th time, honestly, and this is kind of the whole job hunting process in general. I think an important part of it is just not to take anything personal. There's so much different things that are factored into these companies when they hire for these roles. And I went to a couple of job fairs and stuff like that, and I spoke to recruiters. And let's say I spoke to 5 different recruiters, all 5 said they want different things on the resume. So it's all arbitrary. So you can't really take anything as like, oh, it's you specifically, it just wasn't it kind of thing. So once I kind of got that perspective, my mentality was just put it out there. And if I get an opportunity, I get it. If not, then not, right? So when I applied the first 4 times, again, I don't know if I mentioned it in the message, but I got rejected instantly, like within like the
when you like refresh the page. Yes.
Yeah, one of them I refreshed the page and I was like this is crazy. But for that 5th time, and it was the same resume I used every single time because the roles are all similar. They were all SecOps roles. So it was basically the same resume for all 5 different times. But I just saw the job and it was at the end of the night too. It's so funny. And I'm just like, oh, I applied for this company so much, but you know what? Who cares? And I just sent it, and it ended up being one of the ones that got back to me. So yeah, there was no special thing. It's just like I just did it.
Okay, so that was pretty interesting. I wonder if it's because the timing that you applied it, they might just like post it right away and then within the certain windows, and then they just like search for this like first like 10 or first 30 people's like applicants.
Yeah, you never really know. That's my thing. Like one of the lessons I learned, there's no guaranteed thing. You just got to do it, like, and just,
That's true.
Like build your stuff the best you can and put out like the best product. Like in your resume, and then just put it out there and just whatever comes.
Yeah, that was really great advice. So, and also you mentioned that in your post about our another like Cyber Range member, Frank Johnson. I know he's pretty awesome. That he gave you the advice about like directing the interview conversations towards your project. Like, how do you like actually do that in your interview, and what kind of project you like actually went through with your recruiters?
So I'm gonna start off. Shout out to Frank, absolutely great guy, great member of the community. That's one of the good things about the community is like you can make friends and have conversations with people where they can share their advice and their experience. So Frank actually shared with me, he landed the role before me. And he was just looking at my credentials and my resumes and my search. He's like, bro, I don't know how you haven't landed the role. Like that's what he was saying to me, kind of thing. So he was just giving me different advice and tips on how to approach things and all that kind of stuff. But specifically for the interview thing, what he told me was that essentially to just try to gear the conversation towards the practical things that I've done, aka my project. So essentially how I executed that was, for the particular role I landed, I had 3 different interviews. The first two interviews, I essentially, when let's say the interviewer brought up something about like SIEMs, for example, because it's a SecOps role, I spoke to her and I said, hey, I actually did a project where I was doing some threat hunting in Microsoft Azure Defender, right? Like let's say, for example, Defender or Sentinel or whatever the case was. And then I basically just asked them, like, hey, do you mind if I just walk you through my project really quick? And, just describe to you what I did and how I used tools. And it basically helped to put like a real life, like it helped put me into that role kind of thing, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Instead of just imagining it, it's more like, hey, I did A, B, C, I did 1, 2, 3. This was the result. And, so I was able to show off my actual practical skill set, and that connected it more. And also like a side benefit of that was, and this is an underrated thing that I tell people now, your communication skills are very important, especially in cybersecurity, because you talk to a lot of non-technical people. So that recruiter was not a technical person, but I was able to walk her through my threat hunted project. And she told me at the end of it, she's like, hey, I understood everything you just said to me. And that was really impressive because I'm not a technical person, but I understood the whole thing. So I was able to kind of demonstrate my ability to communicate technical concepts to non-technical people on top of showing my skill set with Microsoft Azure. So it was kind of like a double whammy in terms of like, showing off my skill set. So it was really beneficial.
Yeah, I often hear that like in cybersecurity, like the most hardest thing you do is actually people's, like to deal with is like the people's and instead of like the technical. But yes, the technical is important, but how you can storytelling to non-technical person to cooperate with you to, do the job is really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the next question is like over the 4 months, you sent out 113 applications, you got 4 interviews and landed 2 offers. So that was a pretty like strong conversion rate in current market. Do you follow any specific strategy during your job search? You mentioned that you use like Josh's like roadmap. Do you use that to track your progress?
So in terms of my actual qualifications and resume and all that kind of stuff, I followed Josh's roadmap. I tried to get an S rank in all the categories that I could, essentially. What that did for me was it gave me the confidence to know like I have like the highest level of credentials in terms of like an entry level role. So that boosted my confidence. That was one thing. The second thing was, and this again, Frank is a great guy because he actually gave me this advice that was really helpful. Cybersecurity has 8 domains of CISSP. That's how people kind of think. You can't be prepared for all 8. So he told me to just choose a couple. In my case, I chose 3 and just narrow in on those 3. So what I chose was GRC, SecOps, and cloud. And I only applied for roles in those 3 categories. It seems limiting, but what Frank explained to me was, hey, you got to prepare for interviews. You got to know technologies. You got to know the different frameworks, et cetera, et cetera. For 8 domains, that's impossible. You know what I mean? But for 3, you can do that. You can prepare. So I essentially narrowed it down to those 3, and I only applied for those 3 roles. And then when I was preparing for interviews now, instead of having 8 different jobs, it's only, okay, this is a GRC role. I can create notes for GRC roles and then, study based off that or prep based on that. Okay, this is a SecOps role. You know what I mean? So everything's more narrow, and I can focus myself better and be better prepared for those interviews. And also you can gear your storytelling in your interviews towards those domains, right? So I know for my GRC roles, I can speak more about, the different frameworks I've worked with and like how I applied it and, have that kind of mindset for those. For a SecOps role, it's going to be about the SIEMs. It's going to be about the threat hunting. It's going to be about, MITRE and all these kind of things. And you can just gear it towards, where and rather than try to do everything at one time and so much things to know and I applied for this job in random domain. I don't even remember job requirements were because you just apply for, it just narrowed everything down. Yeah, exactly. And there's still a lot of jobs you can apply within in 3 domains. That's still a wide range, right? There's still
Yes.
so many jobs you can apply for in just 3 domains. Cybersecurity is huge.
Yes.
So you know what I mean? So even if you say you're gonna narrow it a little bit, it's like narrowed a little bit for the greater good. And those are kind of like that was kind of the main strategy they applied. And once I did that, it just made it easier in terms of like, just my job hunting in general. I was looking for more specific roles. I was able to tailor my resumes rather than having 50 different resumes. I made a resume for GRC roles, a resume for SecOps roles, and a resume for cloud roles.
Okay.
Right. And then I could just minor tweaks for the roles maybe, but there wasn't no 10, 20, 30 different resumes. It was like 3 main resumes, make minor tweaks for the roles. I was able to send out like better tailored resumes for each of the roles. And for me, it was better quality, right? So
yes, I think that's really smart move. Is that you actually job hunting with a purpose, right? Like you decided which area, because cybersecurity is like a big umbrella, but in which you're trying to at least get your feet in the door.
absolutely.
And inside that, you maybe pick 2 or 3, and then do your resume and trying to just start from small and check your progress. Eventually, it's just the offer just like landed to you.
Exactly.
Okay, so out of my curiosity, like how do you find out the cyber range, and how do you finally decided to join our community?
Oh, this is good. Okay, so the cyber range came because I came across Josh's YouTube page randomly. When you're learning cybersecurity, there's not really a template, right? So you just kind of like have to go out there into the ethos and find some stuff.
The
So
ecosystem, yeah.
you know what I mean? So, well, actually, I'd actually known about Josh from before, because when I was deciding to go to WGU, it was him and one other content creator that kind of introduced me to WGU. And I know Josh has a path and the other content creator had a path. And I actually picked the other content creator's path to do WGU. But I like Josh's stuff. So I like kept him in the back of my mind kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay, he's good to know too. So once I finished WGU, I went back to Josh and I was like, okay, let me see what kind of stuff he has in terms of like, now that I'm done WGU, what do I do? So I ended up doing his, which course was it? He had another course that was like Azure based. You create the honeypot project and all that kind of stuff. And I basically used that to learn how to use Azure and Sentinel and Defender kind of thing. And I really liked that course. So because I joined that course, when the Cyber Rage was launching what year was it? It was not last year.
Yeah, it was like December-ish. Yeah, early this year.
Yeah. He sent out an email to all the people who had joined his previous courses. And he just basically introduced it. And I saw it and my mind was like, because for me, I'm the type of person where I can do any task. I just need, I'm like a sniper, like point and shoot. So Josh gave me a target. He gave me the cyber range and said, hey, if you join the range, you get to use all these tools to know, like you can use all these tools. You get to learn how to do these different processes. You get to finish up with all these projects. And then also, you can do some work for some internship credit. So for me, who was like, I need some direction, hey, this is direction. So that email came out. I think I was the 17th person to join the range. Like
you're the first couple.
Yeah, I joined like instantly. And for me, like the value was just like so obvious in terms of like what it could provide. That fills a gap in cyber. You hear a lot of, oh, there's not enough experience. Oh, there's not enough real world thing. For me, I was like, this isn't like, you never know what's going to lead to a job. Like you never know. But I'm like, for me, it was the next step in building myself up. I had the education. I had 7 or 8 certs at the time, but I need projects. I need experience. The cyber range checked both those boxes. Like, okay, cool. I'm going to get like 10, 11, 12 projects out of this. Amazing. Okay, cool. I get an internship out of this. Amazing. Okay, cool. I get to like apply everything I'm learning. And now like when I go into interviews, I can speak about it. Amazing. I get to know all the tools that people really use in the job. Amazing. And even when I got my job now, we use, like, I work for IBM, so we use a proprietary SIEM, but we also, for certain clients, we use Azure. And some of my team members had to do Azure training when we got that new client. I didn't have to do it because I already knew Azure from the cyber range. So you know what I mean? It was like real world stuff I had access to, and I was able to apply the things I learned, like that kind of thing.
Instantly,
so exactly. Yeah.
And also, I also want to add on, it's like you can also get advice from other people who also actively trying to, like immerse themselves into the cybersecurity world and get
Yes.
all like, so it's really cool that,
Yeah,
you
and that was the added benefit, like I didn't even
yeah,
consider, because even the conversations and the relationships that I developed in the cyber range, and also you have people rooting for you and cheering you on kind of thing too, because there
yeah,
are some rough days in this job market where you sent out 50 resumes and you're like, man, you know what I
I
mean?
know. Yes,
So
yes.
to have
Sometimes,
the conversations, like,
yeah, I know. I always like sometimes also get to like our page to like look for like, during the week look for motivations, because like everybody's
mhm,
there, it's like keep grinding and keep learning new stuff,
yeah,
sharing the most current like the news or about the job market stuff.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So there's another question. So when many people really struggle with like knowing what to ask at the end of the interview,
Mhm,
and you mentioned that you asked really specific and really strong questions like the service now, what you'll be
mhm,
6 months ago when you at on the team. Like
mhm,
how do you come up with those questions? Because the manager was saying like nobody actually brought those up and you're the only
mhm,
one brought those questions up and they really fond of you.
mhm. So that was a combination of just like paying attention during the interview, and then also just like I kind of want to make sure my questions left an impact in terms of like, you know, they can see me in that role kind of thing, right? So when with the ServiceNow thing, when it was brought up during the interview, I mentioned that I hadn't used it before, which I thought could have been a strike against me. I didn't know, but like obviously I'm not gonna lie about something I have no idea about. Like so, but
Yeah.
one thing I learned in the cyber in my transitioning into the cybersecurity world is like a lot of the tools you can learn, right?
Yes.
So if from my perspective, it's like, okay, I don't know ServiceNow. Well, I can find videos and courses to learn that. So, just getting a bit more information on what specifically, they do in ServiceNow, then I can just take that information and go back and like, hey, you know, if I did get a second interview, hey, I went and I watched videos. I know about this functionality and this, and so that was kind of my mindset with that question, just to show that I was flexible in terms of like I want to learn, I'm willing to learn, and that kind of mindset. And then in terms of the second question about like expectations, for me, it was just kind of again putting myself in that role. I just want to know, one, what would make me successful in that role, but two, also like to show them like, hey, I want to be successful in that role, and I want you to tell me how I can be successful so that I can execute on that kind of thing. So my mindset was geared towards those kind of things and just keeping it simple, because at the end of the day, like there are questions you can ask that have no value. You know what I mean? And I was trying to
Yeah.
ask questions that had value both to myself and to my interviewer, who's not my manager, kind of thing, right? So that was kind of my mindset and how I approach those questions. It's not always like I'm not gonna say every single time I interview that I ask the perfect questions. You can just like try your best to like make a mental note, or in my case, I had notes open while I was doing the interview because it was virtual, and I wrote down like ServiceNow when he asked about it so that I can spin
Okay.
back later on. And then with the question about, seeing myself in the role and 6 months and expectations, to me, that was kind of a naturally occurring question, just based on the fact that I felt the interview was going well.
Hmm.
And also just, again, to show like, hey, I'm the type of person that you want on your team, because I want to know how to win, and I'm willing to do what it takes to win, kind of thing.
So I want to summarize that is that you want to be active listening during the
Hmm.
interview
Oh, for
and
sure.
also like take note and also it's kind of not manipulate but trying to think you are actually one of the team member already. So
Hmm.
to say, okay, what is the task? What's the problem that we can
Hmm.
solve? That what kind of value I can add? And this is the tool,
Yes.
this is the skills I have, but this is something I don't have, but I'm willing to learn. I'm
Hmm.
willing to take extra steps. When it's ready, I'm ready with the team. Some
Exactly. Yeah.
mindset. Okay. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So, and then it comes down to my last questions.
Hmm.
And is there anything from your journeys, like pursuing, like you say you have a multiple certifications
Hmm.
and work in the labs in cyber range and maybe your
Hmm.
career transactions that you want to share with members who are trying to break into the field?
Hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, when I first got into cyber, and when I first got introduced to Josh in the early stages, especially, Josh talked about kind of like the pillars of like cyber, like the job experience slash internships or whatever, certs and degrees, and he kind of broke it down. So that was my mindset. I want to hit all three of those And my goal was I need to make myself the best candidate I can be. And then from there, whatever happens, happens. So I think that's an important mindset to have. Secondly, I would say for me personally, and for anyone in the range, I pop back in occasionally to see how things are going.
Yeah.
I think your mindset, or the people who are in the range, their mindset in the range shouldn't necessarily be like, this is a guaranteed thing, because nothing in life is guaranteed. That's obvious.
Yes.
Nothing in life is guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
How you should approach it is, this will give me the skill set and tools I need to put me on that next level. So when you log into the range, you should be focused on, okay, how am I going to maximize learning about this tool? How am I going to maximize, learning about this software? How am I going to maximize learning about this process, this framework? Because those are the things that will help you get the job. Those are things you're going to need to speak to in the interview to help you get this job, right? When you talk to other people, hey, I remember specifically when I first started using Microsoft Sentinel, I knew nothing about KQL.
Yeah.
I went into the community. I said, hey guys, how do y'all learn about KQL? And
Yes.
someone gave me this like KQL game website kind of thing. And I literally spent the next like 2 weeks just playing that thing. And after 2 weeks, I was like a KQL expert kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I
it's
remember
because
that post. Yeah.
like leverage the community. Like, hey
Yes.
guys, how can I get better? And to have that mindset of like, you're here to learn these tools and learn these skills and all that kind of stuff. And then that will, again, you're building yourself up, right? Because the gap in cybersecurity is always skills. So build your skill set, right? And then after, I would say the last thing for me is, it's that everlasting cycle of not enough skills, but you need to get hired to get skills, and it's an infinite cycle, right?
Yeah.
You have the opportunity in the internship program to like break that cycle, right? I've seen a couple of people like really not understand the value in internship program, and I've seen Josh have to tweak it to adjust to the fact that people are like not fully utilizing it properly. I think you're cheating yourself when you do that, because the point of the internship is you get the credit from doing the projects. The projects are how you get confident and comfortable speaking about the roles you're going to be doing, right? So if you're not putting your proper effort into it, if you're not, making sure that you're actually doing the things and participating in the threat hunts. All of my projects were threat hunts. After I finished them and submitted to Josh, I literally transferred them over. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, these are things that like the cyber is built to help you do. And you just need to have the right mindset to leverage it properly. Once you do those things, you're going to make yourself the best candidate. In my mind, I'm a basketball fan. So I'm like, hey, I need to make myself the #1 draft pick. I need to be the #1 guy that everybody wants, kind of thing. And when you do that, you give yourself the best chance of landing your role, right? And that's really all you can do. You have to do whatever it takes to give yourself the best chance, and then you just put your stuff out there, and then you just wait for the universe, God, whatever you believe in to do what it does, and that's all you can do. So that's kind of my overall advice. Hopefully, it's helpful to someone, to anyone, and yeah.
Yes, I think you're right about saying like building up your skills and utilize the communities, and check. We currently we have like all the threat hunt, like we're being more standardized, so it's like weekly. So I think all our members should take opportunity to actually join those threat hunts.
I agree.
And then that was like what you can present by just doing, and that was where you can present your interviews and go to a recruiter and show you have the ability to master the role.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Carlton. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing everything so openly. And I know the community is gonna add a lot of value from it. So thank you for coming.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Shout out to Josh. Appreciate you, bro. You're a big reason why I am where I am. Shout out to your team. Amazing people. Shout out to the cyber community, guys. I appreciate you all. Best of luck to everyone on your journey. Do what you gotta do. I want to see everyone win, and good luck to everyone.
Thanks for having you. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
So no pressure, obviously, but if you're serious about getting into cybersecurity, or you just want real non-sandbox hands-on experience with actual enterprise tools in a live shared network, you can get all of that in the Cyber Range. In the past year, we've done about 100 employment verifications. That is like real employers reaching out to us to confirm experience for people in the community that have actually landed jobs. When you onboard into the community, you'll get issued credentials for access to our company's actual network, which is a real live corporate environment with over 1,200 users and fully licensed enterprise security stack with platforms like Tenable Vulnerability Management, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, and Microsoft Sentinel. And just like at a real security job, we'll provide training covering everything that you'll encounter, from enterprise vulnerability management to threat hunting to general security operations as well. And you'll get experience and training better than if you were hired as a corporate junior SOC analyst. Every week, we also have a cybersecurity threat hunt and capture the flag challenge where you can compete for cash prizes while building legit resume experience at the same time. And this isn't a simulation, it's like real infrastructure with real users, real attacks, and organic logs that you'll have hands-on access to. So if you're interested, check out the link in the description and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.